So today I'm talking about a recent business mastermind group I attended, or possibly an accountability group. I'll talk about the difference between the two and whether it was a good experience, bad experience, what you can do better to ensure the business mastermind and accountability groups you're part of, you get the most out of. Keep watching, keep listening, hope you find it useful. Welcome back to consecutive day 1564 of a Diary of a Runpreneur. If you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra-marathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style, then do give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. More people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. Thank you as always, and let's get started. So, consecutive day 1564 of a Diary of a Runpreneur, and today's episode is a kind of feedback or a kind of analysis of a recent business mastermind group stroke accountability group that I attended, and whether it was good, whether it wasn't good, will I do it again, and the things you can do to try and get the most out of these types of events. So first and foremost, we need to scrutinise when we have meetings, whether they're worth it, whether they weren't, whether it's networking, whether it's business related, whatever. Because the one thing that is a commodity that's extremely finite, as in not infinite, is time. And we only have a limited amount of it throughout our lives. Yet, quite often, so many of us are so kind of lackadaisical with our time. And it's the most precious commodity. So we need to really ruthlessly rationalise how we spend our time. So when you get invited to business masterminds, accountability groups, you need to make sure that you're definitely getting a return on your time. Some people pay a lot of money for these types of events. So for those, you need to make sure you definitely get a return on your time and also return your money, which also is a finite commodity unless you're incredibly savvy and have a bottomless pit, which not many of us do. So this was a small kind of business mastermind that was set up from some people that I met on a business skiing networking event. Now, first and foremost, these are people who I'd already met, I'd already established a bond with, a friendship with. They were similar people to me in values and people that I enjoy spending time with. So that's why I agreed to go initially, and I think that's point one. You know, sometimes it's great mixing with opposite people and all that side of things to get, an opposing view to yours. Because often that's a great way of getting the best out of a partnership or a marriage, for example. But I find within that kind of sphere, you need to have similar values as people. That's what I mean. You can be different personalities, but you need to have similar values. Otherwise, if you're putting in completely opposite directions with different beliefs and values, it's not going to work. So point one, these guys are people who had similar values to me, and to be fair, some similarities, not all. There was enough differentiation between us so that hopefully we can see a different perspective on each of our kind of challenges in business and in life. The next thing is, we said very quickly we wanted to establish a structure to the meeting, and it's so easy, if you're not careful, to have let small talk take over, have different kind of tangents kicking in and disrupting things, not enough kind of organisation of how the times can be split, all these types of things, and it can mean that a potentially amazing event, mastermind, accountability group can be wasted. So have some structure. Now, we decided that we didn't want it to be just business related, so we changed the name from Business Mastermind very quick to an accountability group. And we wanted it to be an accountability group, so we all had actions that we needed to go and complete after the event, and we'd be held accountable by each and every one for one another. And that's a key point I'll come on to in just a second. But now the structure, because we decided that we weren't going to just focus on business, we were going to focus on a holistic overview of life. And business is very much a key part of an entrepreneur's life. So inevitably, a lot of it would be business related, but It didn't have to be. And we used Dr. John Demartini's values factor process, or the 7 value areas of life, to kind of give this some kind of context. Now, if you've not read Dr. John Demartini's the 7 value areas of life in no particular order, they're equally as important to live a holistic life. And you've got spiritual, you've got financial, vocational, social, mental, physical, and I think that's the lot. Have I missed one? Mental, physical, financial, vocational, spiritual, social. Yeah, so I think I've covered them all. So basically, each one is equally as important to live a fulfilled life, although you will prioritise them very differently. And the key is to try and spend as much time in the highest value areas that you can. There's an assessment you can do online. It's free to do. It's a values factor questionnaire by Dr. John Demartini, and it will give you some kind of context around this. So I'm not going to talk in great detail about this, but they're the 7 areas that we decided we'd focus on. And we didn't have to cover them all in a session, but the idea would be that eventually we'll have actions to complete in each area to kind of build towards a more successful life, which to me is a happy one. And if you're doing more in the areas that you value the most, the more happier you're going to be. So that's kind of where this all kind of came from. So that gave us some structure. Now, invariably, 2 of the guys spent most of the time talking about the businesses, which is about their vocation. So we're talking about vocation, can be career, business, job, all these types of things. And that's where most of them talked about. And we kind of had a very brief overview to set the scene. And then we basically had a question and answering session where the 2 people who weren't talking would ask and delve deep into the problems that the individuals experience and would give solutions or potential solutions to them, which would result in actions. Comes on to point 3, accountability. It's then down to each of us to hold one another accountable, so that when we come back every quarter, we decided that these events would be quarterly because you had 90 days is sufficient to make a kind of dent into these actions, would be held accountable to complete them. Obviously, if we're all turning up in 90 days having made no progress, then clearly we have to kind of look at the event and think maybe it's not working. And the kind of final part is you need somebody who's going to take the minutes or the notes, or a kind of piece of software you can keep all of the actions together. You can share them at the end of the meeting. I use a kind of mind mapping piece of software called MindNode, and it allows you to kind of be visual and present things in a mind map scenario, but it's also quite good for being able to present things in a logical, hierarchical, linear version as well. So whether you're visual or linear based, you can create this document which would work for all parties. So that's why we use that, and it's easy to collaborate with and share, especially if you've got Apple devices. Not so good on Android or kind of PC based devices. But anyway, so ultimately the learnings from my diary is that the event was potentially brilliant, potentially really good. Before I go on to the learnings of the diary, one final point at the end: try and have a more relaxed debrief, maybe get some food or a social drink where you can switch off and kind of down tools on the kind of intensity of a business or accountability group, because it's nice just to debrief, and that's the time for the small talk and to kind of build those personal relationships, which is also key. So the learnings from my diary: to get the most out of a business or accountability group, I think there are a few ingredients that you need. First and foremost, you need to have similar values to the people you're meeting with. You don't have to be similar people or personalities, but similar values. Believe in the same things, have the same kind of mindset, which is very different to a personality. I think that's key, so that you're going to collaboratively work well together, supporting one another, pulling in the same direction. Number 2 is have some structure to the event. How much time you're going to have, how you're going to split it, what the topics you're going to cover. Obviously, we use Dr. John Demartini's values factor to kind of do that. Really, really important that you kind of have a structure to the event. So that's key. So yeah, we used Dr. John Demartini's values factor as it's more of a holistic mastermind or accountability group as opposed to business mastermind, but it gave us some structure and context on how we're going to do things. Thirdly, have someone who's going to take the notes and capture the actions, and use a piece of software where you can share this between the group, so that point 4, you can be held accountable. Really important. What's the point in agreeing what you're going to do, having no way of capturing what's been agreed, and then having no way to follow up to be held accountable for your actions? Really, really important if you want to make progress. Accountability is absolutely key. And finally, finish off with something light-hearted, like a drink or some food, where you can down tools on the intensity of these events and kind of have small talk and build personal relationships. So if you follow that kind of process, you'll get the best out of a business mastermind or accountability group. To be honest with you, I found it really good, but the proof will be in the pudding when we meet within the next 90 days to see whether progress was actually made. If progress was made, it would definitely have been a worthwhile event. That's it from me. Questions or comments, drop me a line. I'll respond to everyone. Do remember though, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra-marathon of run vlogging on consecutive days of distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style, do give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. More people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. Thank you as always. Stay positive, stay happy. I'll see you again tomorrow.